You're listening to the Flip Houses Like a Girl podcast, where we educate, empower, and celebrate everyday women who are facing their fears, juggling family and business, embracing their awesomeness, and wholeheartedly chasing their dream of flipping houses. Each episode delivers honest to goodness tools, tips, and strategies you can implement today to get closer to your first or next successful house flip. Here's your spiky-haired, breakfast taco-loving host, house flipping coach, Debbie DeBeery.
Hey, how's it going today? Thanks for spending some time with us. So I'm going to be sharing with you another one of our coaching program members, one of our FlipSisters, her story, her first flip journey. So we're going to be talking to Amanda, and she is in Lake of the Ozarks, beautiful area. And her story, I'm sure, will resonate with many of you. She's married, she has children, and she was completely burned out in her corporate job. And she was ready to make a change. She not only was ready to make a change, but it was one of those I have to make a change or else kinds of things, which I'm sure we can all relate to. Anyway, we're going to be talking to her, sharing her details of her first flip, how she found it, how she financed it, the issue that came up with her lender at the 11th hour, how she resolved it, how she resolved all the other things that came up. Because that's really what we do. We manage the 3 Ps: people, problems, and the project. And she takes us through how she did all that. So hang tight. You're going to love her. You're going to love her story. She's got some really great wisdom to share. And yeah, let's go. You want to just start by introducing yourself, letting us know a little bit about you?
Sure. My name is Amanda, and I live at the Lake of the Ozarks in central Missouri with my husband and our 3 young daughters. We moved here in mid-2020, like at the height of the pandemic, with our youngest being 1 month old. We moved from St. Louis. I grew up in central Missouri, so it was kind of just like coming home. And we were actually planning to move pre-pandemic. In 2019, we'd been working in the corporate world in St. Louis for over 10 years. And we had this young family, and we were like, okay, something's probably got to give here. Like, this doesn't feel like it's going in the right direction. So we were able to both switch to working remotely, which allowed us to move here. And, that was kind of before everyone else switched to remote work. So it was still kind of like a little bit of a new thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we moved here in 2020, and we got the kids settled and everything. And then towards the end of 2020, I found your podcast, and I started binging every free thing that I possibly could. And then I ended up joining in April of last year in 2021.
Okay. Wow. What does your husband do?
So we're both engineers. We met in college at an engineering university here in Missouri. And he's a mechanical engineer by school. I'm an architectural engineer, but we both have gone in different directions. I graduated at the height of like right after the housing market crashed and everything. So my degree in architectural engineering wasn't great trying to find a job in construction at that time.
Wow.
So I actually found a job working as more of a mechanical engineer doing HVAC and plumbing design.
Okay.
And I actually got the job because I knew how to do the 3D modeling software that they used. It wasn't even engineering position at the time because construction just wasn't happening in 2010 when I graduated. And then he is a mechanical engineer. That's what his dad was. He kind of always knew he wanted to be an engineer, but he's now doing more software engineering type stuff. So he's kind of found his path too.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a big computer nerd.
Y'all are kind of both nerds. I mean,
yeah, I mean, we really are, truly.
Your girls must be like super nerdy.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah. I mean, I try to make them cool, but it's just going to happen.
Hey, nerds are cool.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. So you joined in April.
Yes.
And all right. So let's go through your first flip. When
Okay.
did you close on the sale of it?
The sale or the purchase?
The sale of it. Oh no, I know it seems weird. I'm going backwards.
Okay. So I closed on February 18th.
Okay. Okay. And then when did you close on the purchase of it?
September 30th of 21.
Okay. And how did you find it?
Yellow letters off market. I joined in April of last year. I kind of tried to dive in, but then I was still trying to manage the kids and everything. And there was a lot of, I feel like I'm not doing things fast enough, and I was ready to go. And so we were going on a family vacation in July of last year. And I was like, I just need to get some of these letters out in the mail. And I had been driving for dollars with my 1-year-old, like during nap times. I would just drive around the neighborhoods. Yeah. So I had a list of properties, and I just sat down and I was like, I've got to write some of these letters and get them in the mail. And I put them in the mail before we left for vacation. I think I had like 25 of them.
I remember that picture.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, look, I did it. Like, I feel like I should have done this months ago. It's always like feeling like you're behind for some reason.
Right.
But then we went on vacation, and then I got a couple calls, like while we were on vacation. I got 2 people who reached back out, 2 leads from just those 25 letters. Amazing. And the one ended up becoming my first flip. So.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I love the story of your first flip. Like it was like the people involved, like everything is so magical about this flip.
Right. It feels like it's cliche, but just meant to be. Like I was ready for it. Like, and I put in the effort, and then it all just kind of came together. And obviously there were hard parts and things to work through, but at the end of the day, it was an awesome experience.
Yes. Okay. So you bought it September 30th.
Yeah.
And when you initially were running numbers, what was your initial repair estimate?
So I kind of took 2 snapshots in time here, because I think it's important for anybody to know, especially if they're not familiar with construction, that nothing is ever set in stone with your timeline, with your quotes, with the scope of work. Whatever you think is going to happen on day 1 is not what happens at the end of the project. So I would take, make copies of my deal analyzer as things would evolve and kind of see how it changed. So my very first initial deal analyzer that I put together, and this was just after having a conversation on the phone with the seller. He said it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot. He told me that the basement was framed, but it wasn't finished. And this was a slow flip for him that had just kind of stalled. He's not local. He actually lives 10 minutes from where we used to live in St. Louis, which is one of our ironic points. I know. And this was kind of just like his project house, and he's retired now. He wants to travel. He just didn't have time to come down here and keep working on it. So he had done a lot of the demo. I didn't have to do any demo. It was basically gutted and ready for a fresh start.
Wow.
So that information that he gave me, I was able to kind of pull together some ballpark estimates for reno. And then my agent pulled comps for me for a 3-2. So for the original purchase price, I had $100,000. For the repair budget, I had $65,000. And we had a conservative ARV of $250,000. And that was going to give me a profit of about $35,000.
Wow. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Very solid. Like that's a really solid project.
Yes. So that was the initial.
Yeah.
The next snapshot that I did was after actually getting under contract, walking inspections, having my contractors come through. The purchase price went down slightly. I was able to get it at $94,000. Just a few things that came up in inspection that we were able to negotiate.
Nice.
The repair cost went up significantly. And what I didn't really account for in my original numbers was that whole basement that was only framed. needed all drywall, all trim, like none of that was already there. So that's a really big number. On top of that, the location that we're at here in Missouri is kind of in our own little bubble here. And we're 2 to 3 hours from like the next biggest city. So there's definitely a premium on like HVAC, plumbing, all the systems, all those things come at a premium kind of because they can, because we're kind of isolated here. So my repair estimate after all of that was 95,000. And my new ARV, after running it now as a 4-bed, 3-bath, including all the basement space.
Yeah.
My ARV went up conservatively to 275.
Okay.
We were looking, upper 200s, but again, I was trying to be conservative. So I kind of just went with the 275.
Nice.
And that was looking at a profit of 33,000. So we were in the same ballpark.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, with the price reduction and the repair allowance going up, price reduction. So yeah, it was like with the same, basically the same.
Pretty much the same. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So then what actually happened?
So what actually happened? Well, my initial timeline was 6 months, and we came in under that. Again, I was trying to be conservative there. For the actual reno timeline, I was figuring about 8 weeks. That ended up being more like 12 weeks, just because, things come up, but it also was right around Thanksgiving, Christmas. We lost a few weeks there scattered about,
Sure.
So the reno timeline was about 12 weeks, which I was still happy with. Again, I was being very conservative in all these numbers. So as far as the budget for renovations, that went over for various reasons. I don't know if I ever really went into detail on the septic issue that I had.
Oh, no. Let's talk about it.
So, okay. So the area that we're in here at the lake, there are environmental restrictions above and beyond even the state requirements here where we are in this area. And so their septic systems are very highly regulated. So during the inspection period, I had it inspected. I made sure it was functioning. It has to be a certain capacity of tank for the number of bedrooms, and we met that. So I thought, okay, all good. Well, the day after closing on the purchase, I go in to meet with the inspectors and get my permit, and I find out, nope, they have additional requirements. So here in our area, you have to have so many linear feet of lateral in the drain field per bedroom, which I didn't have.
Oh, God.
Well, we weren't sure what I had. So the only drawing they had recorded was from like the original construction in the 80s showing where they thought the septic system was. So I had to have all of that identified and laid out. Then we could figure out how much drain field I had. Turns out we were short. So then I had to have that surveyed. Then we had to have the surveyor prepare his drawings and propose adding on to the laterals and get it approved, and then do the actual construction part of it. Like, because so it was the day after closing, I went in there and started talking with them about that. And literally we didn't have it done until the week before we listed. Like they were literally backfilling the week before. It was the whole time. And the biggest thing was the survey lead time. And I know we've been talking about that in the group. Like,
oh, it's insane. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Supposedly, I'm supposed to get my survey today that I've been waiting for like a week.
I mean, your hands are kind of tied because you're like, well, I have to have that. I was at a little bit of an advantage in that my brother actually works as a surveyor. He's not a licensed surveyor, but he was able to come out and he actually located all the property corner pins for me. And then the surveyor that I had come, he was like, that was great. That saved me hours where I could just go like find the pins. So yeah, my brother is helping out for sure. But yeah, your hands are tied. Like you need it and you just kind of gotta wait.
Yeah. We can't close without them. So yeah,
Oh,
sitting
really? You
around.
have to have a survey
Mhm,
before?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you're definitely stuck for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I totally get this whole
hmm
surveying thing.
So yes, the septic was the biggest kind of unknown. And then really like the other reasons we went over, trying to track down, there was no other like big, like, oh, that cost me 10 grand. It was a lot of like little things like,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to fix the soffit and fascia. Oh, the gutters are installed wrong. Well, do we fix them or do we just replace them? Well, let's just replace them. That's a grand. Like, and hence the reason for buffers. But I think where I kind of made a mistake, and I don't know if it was intentional or if I was trying to still make it work, make the numbers work. But when I got all my quotes together on the front end and I was like, okay, here's all my numbers and this is what it's going to be, I didn't really leave that solid buffer in the construction numbers that I also should have left. Cause I'm like, here's this number plus this number plus this number. And like, I've worked in construction for 10 years. I know you still need the buffer, but I'm like, oh, it's got to look good on paper or whatever, and it's like, and I don't think like I wouldn't have changed anything, but just like, in the future, I need to make sure that anything I can cushion, I need to cushion.
Yes, totally.
So yeah, that was just, little things here and there popped up. And like gaps in scope, kind of like where I hadn't thought through everything. So the stairs going down to the basement were just like an unfinished wood. And I didn't really have anyone bid, oh, we're going to carpet it or we're going to, whatever, how we're going to finish it. That was just kind of a gap in scope. And so we ended up staining them and painting them and making it nice. But, that was another couple grand that wasn't accounted for. So all those things add up, obviously.
Yes. Wait, what did you end up spending on the septic stuff?
It was about 6,000.
Okay.
So, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but the buffer and the overall deanalyzer, I mean, that was gone.
Like right still like 6 grand on stuff that's like under the ground.
I know. I'm like, you see those 2 little clean outs there in the yard? Like that was really important. I did that for like, I'm going to put that like on the listing, like
take pictures of it,
right?
Showcase it, stage it.
Right. Yeah. Put like some plants around it. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't know.
Oh,
but it has to be there. So
right. Okay. So what did your repairs end up being?
114,000.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to ask. Let's talk about how you financed all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I used hard money and private money. The hard money lender that I used was one that I had vetted, in the original modules that you have us do. And this one in particular, just before I even had a deal, the contact that I had really took the time to like help me learn and help me understand. And anytime I would talk to him, it was guaranteed at least an hour. And he would spend that whole time educating me and explaining things to me. Cool. So we like really, I really felt like he was trying to help me get going.
Yes.
And they had good terms. The one caveat with them is that they are not purely asset based. So we had to have a personal guarantee. We had to do credit checks and we had to have, a certain amount of money available for them to see. And that was just something we kind of had to weigh our risks when we were looking at it. I was like, I have this connection with them. I feel like they'll help me through this process. And we, my husband and I just kind of had to talk about it and it was like, I think this is the way I need to go for this. So,
totally.
And I think, I don't regret that either. I think it makes sense for us, but I know that a lot of people don't have that luxury. So just making sure you understand terms is so important.
Yes. And asking questions. Yes. Ask questions. You got to ask.
Yeah. If you don't have someone that you're working with that you're comfortable asking questions to, you probably shouldn't work with them. Like,
that's fine.
Yeah. They're not going to be an ally if you feel like they're attacking you or coming after you or anything like that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Great point. Okay. So you had some of your own money in the deal?
Yes, I did. I don't know if you'll remember, like the week before closing, I had a frantic post of like, So the other thing that I learned is this lender wouldn't allow second lien positions on the title.
Yep.
And so they were considering the private money that I had received as like gift money, and they wouldn't let me count that towards like the assets they needed to see. And it was a whole scramble like the week before. And I remember posting in the group, I was like, okay, this is what I have going on. These are my options that I've come up with. I was again making copies of my deal analyzer, and I was like, what if I just did all private money, or, and I was just trying to work through my options.
Yeah.
And I had the luxury of having some funds available to us. And, again, we weighed our risks, and I was like, I think I need to pull some of our own money. And so, and the reason, to back up a little bit, the reason all that happened is our appraisal came in short.
That's right.
Yes. So we were looking for an ARV of 275, and the local appraiser that I had do the appraisal put it at 250. But my hard money lender, again, having that relationship with him, he even was like, this appraisal is bogus. He's like, we know these numbers are better than this. That doesn't mean we can actually lend you more money. You got to bring more to the table, but we still believe in this deal, and we know that you can make it happen. So they were still on board, but I had to make up that gap funding somehow. So that's kind of how we ended up there.
Got it. Okay. So hard money, private money, some of your own money for like down payment and stuff.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So you got all of that situated, and you got it, like you handled it quickly. Cause I remember you posting, and like you handled it. Like, I feel like you handled it within like a day or something.
I've gotten pretty good at, which in order to do this, you have to be able to make decisions like quickly. Yeah. And I think that my previous job, there were a lot of good things and a lot of bad things there. Not bad, but just things that weren't great in the day-to-day. But what I did learn, because I didn't have a lot of support in decision-making, was I had to make a lot of decisions, and right, wrong, or indifferent, someone needed to decide.
Right.
And so I did learn that skill there. You have to make a decision and move forward, and then deal with the consequences if they're
so
good
true.
or bad.
Right. And if you need to make a different decision, make a different one, right? Yeah. Like you just have to keep making decisions. All right. So we went through some of the surprises.
Yes.
And the funding and all of that. So then you end up with this beautiful 4-bedroom, 2-bath home on the free, like with the lake view.
Oh my gosh.
Let's not forget that this beautiful home has this beautiful lake view.
I know.
And you list it.
We listed at $329.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When did you list? In January?
Yeah, I think it was like the second week of January.
Uh-huh.
And to back up a little bit there, for some reason in my mind, I thought that I was going to push this thing and I was going to have it on the market before Christmas, like early December. That was my goal. Mm-hmm. And the whole time I'm talking with my agent, I'm like, I think we can do it. I think we can do it. And it was like early December, and there were still just a lot of finishing touches that needed to be done. And I remember one night, not sleeping, I'm laying there thinking of all the things that need to be done. And I was like, why am I doing this? I have plenty of time built into the schedule. Why am I putting this on myself, on my subs? I want to enjoy the holidays with my family. And so I sent an email, I think at like 4 a.m. to my agent. And I was like, hey, we're going to shoot for January. Let's enjoy our holidays. And so we did that. And there was still crunch time issues in January. But, when there's room in the schedule and you can give yourself a little bit of freedom, like you don't have to put that much pressure on yourself.
Yes.
So I did that, and it was great. We had wonderful holidays. And then January, we were ready to wrap it up and get it listed. So
that's such a good point. I mean, really, you have it built into your timeline. Why are you fighting yourself? Like, why are you making it so much harder on yourself when you have it built in?
Right.
It's such a good point. Oh my gosh. I do the same thing. Yeah.
And why?
It's dumb.
Yes, time is money, but like that much more money,
right. Like, what's the trade-off? Your sanity?
Exactly. Yeah. Like if you're over, I could see where it would be a lot more stressful and you're trying to get it wrapped up.
Sure.
But when you have that time built in, it's like, yeah, you gotta definitely weigh the benefits for sure.
I wonder if it's that part of me that always has to beat the GPS estimated time of arrival.
Yeah. I'm going to get this down by 1 minute.
Watch me. Watch me. You watch me.
Take
See
the
how long it
shortcut.
takes. See how long it takes me to get to wherever.
Yeah. I think it's just the competitive. I think it's just, we want to be successful. But I think what I've really learned, especially, is I'm the boss now. And so this trickles down to my subs and my family and everyone. So how I handle the pressure is going to affect everyone.
100%. I think one of the things that so many house flippers, investors, small business owners in general fail to really acknowledge that we're leaders. We are leading whatever the vision is, we are leading it. Mm-hmm. And so, we have to show up as that. I don't think people think of themselves as leaders. I think there's a lot of work that can be done there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Okay. So you thought it was me 275.
Yeah. And I was being conservative. It was so funny because while we were wrapping up things, before Christmas, my agent and her husband stopped by. He wanted to see it. And we literally were arguing like, well, we think we can go higher. Should we do like 285 or 299? And I was like, I just don't want to be, too aggressive. And my agent, she went to bat. Before she listed, she had some of her agent friends come through. She was calling appraisers. Because she wanted to get it right for all of us. And she's like, this market isn't always going to be this way. And if we can get it now, we need to do that while we can. And so, she pushed it. But I told her at one point, kind of when we were getting ready to list, I was like, if I was super comfortable at 299, that's probably a sign that we weren't pushing enough when we can.
Yeah.
So, we listed at 329 and we were under contract within like a day.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure you were. What did you end up selling for?
We ended up selling at 325. Because there, again, wasn't an appraisal issue. Again, we're in our little island here and all of our local appraisers are busy as can be. So our buyers are from out of state. So they were using an out of state lender who doesn't have connections to the local appraisers who know the market. So we got this new appraiser and my sweet agent, she tried arguing with this guy and the appraisal gap was not much. And I was like, let's move on. Let's split the difference. We're good. Like it's fine. And she's like, but this is just not accurate. He doesn't know what all this stuff is worth. And he probably doesn't lake views are worth a certain amount and things like that in our area. So,
sure.
And I had a double lot. I bought the lot next door to go with it. And so those sort of things, but again, like she just really believed in it and she pushed it. And, we had several people looking at it and we were going to be getting several offers, but the problem is a lot of the backup offers were like conventional and people had to sell houses. And I know everybody's got crazy markets, but we have two very separate buyer pools here. We have the local like working class buyers who are here full time all year round. And then we have the vacation second homeowners who come in and they're winning everything right now because they have the cash. And it's my agent and I have had several conversations because my heart is with the people who live here full time and young families like us. Just 2 years ago, we were trying to find a home for our family to move here. And it was right before things got really crazy here. So we were able to find something, but, we really want to try and help the families come live here as well and enjoy it. And it is growing rapidly to more than just a summer tourist destination. And there's definitely a need to support, the working families.
Right. Yeah. It's hard. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Right.
Okay. So what did your profit end up being?
75,000. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never know until these calls. I've only known once before the call. Otherwise I don't know. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's big.
Congratulations.
And thank you. I struggled a little bit with not so much that number, but the actual like percent of profit kind of bothered me. Because it's like coming up on 25%. And that comes from my previous work. And I've mentioned this in the group before. I don't like sales in general. It feels gross to me. I don't generally like sales. And in my previous work, there was like the construction department that I was in, and we would always have profits of like 10 to 15. And the sales side was always like 25, 40, like jacking it up. And so to me, that was like, oh no, I'm like a gross salesperson now.
That's so interesting.
I went back over the numbers and stuff, and I'm like, did I short the seller in some way? And I mean, we had conversations up front, and he knew what he needed, and I made the numbers work on the front end, and my rental numbers went over by quite a bit.
Right.
I did have cushions, on the timeline, on my ARV, all of that stuff. And then just the crazy market just did its thing. So
exactly.
It's not so much like feeling guilty, but I did just like spend some time like, okay, how does this feel? But then it's also, well, now I can just take this money and go do more things. Like I can keep going.
Exactly.
And then also just use some of it to give back and things like that. So
totally. Money isn't evil, but I get it. I get the whole thing of that's a lot of money. And should I be making this much money, having this much fun? Right.
Yeah. Like that felt like too easy to make this much money. Like, isn't it supposed to be harder and more painful? And not that it won't be for other deals, but it just, you do definitely kind of look inward a little bit well, I mean, I guess it's okay. Let's move forward.
For the most part, that's how it feels. I have 2 deals that I'm like, oh my God, those were the worst things ever. Like painful, emotionally, financially, just awful. But over 15 years, that's not bad. So yeah, it does generally feel like, oh my gosh, wow. It feels light and good. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Okay. So let's talk about feelings. When you,
my favorite, it really is my favorite.
Yay. Okay. Yeah. What were some of your battles?
I gotta tell you, in my old job, they used to jokingly call me the office therapist, and working as an engineer in a construction company, 90% of the employees are men, and they would literally come in my office and talk to the therapist about their feelings and their struggles. I love talking about that stuff. So,
I love it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So let me see here. Mindset. So initially, the big thing was just the fear of losing money, obviously. And I had this big block about, we spent the first 10 plus years of our career doing the traditional thing and, building these 401ks and doing all the stuff that you're supposed to do and be a good, whatever, human employee person.
Yep.
And we did all that, and we've got these, good amounts built up. And the fear is what if I just destroy all that we just worked so hard doing, in the first chunk of our career.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. And I was scared of that, but I was more so, that was my husband's biggest concern. And so I looked into flipping. I remember even before I found your podcast, I just Googled how do you flip a house? And it was Dave Ramsey or someone was like, well, if you can't buy, pay cash, don't do it. Well, I can't pay cash for a house right now. So I guess I'm not going to do it. But I just kept coming back to it. And then I found your podcast and started learning about hard money and private money and all this. And I would always have it on in the car, all the time, especially when my husband would get in the car, and I'd turn it up.
I love
it. Listen to this. This is how we can do it. And yeah, my kids, I think I told you one time, my kids referred to you as my coworker, Debbie, who was always talking in the car because the podcast was literally always on. Anytime I picked them up. Yeah. But we both were educated on how do you actually do this without risking all this other, stuff that we've worked hard for.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing, I would say, for sure.
Yes.
Other struggles. I don't like putting myself out there in public ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like I struggled with that for a while. Like I put together my website and it was all pretty and it was all great how I wanted it. But like saying out to the world, hey, this is what I'm doing. Like I've never liked attention. I don't like eyes on me. Like I just want to work over here and do my thing and I'll be good at it. And I don't need anyone to like shout me from the rooftops. Like I just want to do my thing over here. But you kind of have to shout it from the rooftops if you're going to get business. So that's been a big shift, but I'm getting more comfortable with it.
Yes. That's a big one for me. I hate attention. I do not like attention. I constantly have to shift it to, but who isn't going, like, because I'm playing small, what seller isn't going to get to talk to me who I know I'm the best option for them because I know I'm going to do right by them. Right. But it's constant. I constantly have to remind myself like, okay, what's the why? What's the why? Who can I serve? Who am I serving by putting myself out there in this scary way? Yeah, I totally get that.
I had to make that shift from, you know, how I mentioned, sales just kind of bother me, the general sales tactics, but I remember bringing it up in the group and you said there's a big shift you have to make there from the sales mindset to the service mindset. And once that kind of clicked, you know, I just have to keep coming back to that anytime it feels a little off. Just remember that.
Yeah, same. I always have to come back to that too. That's a good one. Any others? Those are the big ones.
Let's see. Mindset. I think one of the biggest like skills I've learned is setting out action items for myself. Like my whole previous career, I felt like I was just, you know, kind of chasing this endless wheel. And there was a lot of reacting to fires and negativity. And I feel like by setting up action items for myself, you're still going to have to react to issues and things like that. But I can dictate where my energy and my time goes in a positive way. I can say, I'm going to be proactive in these ways. And so like, that's something, you know, in the group, I make sure I put action items each week. And then I have like my planner and I put those same action items, but then even on the day to day, I say, okay, these are my action items to get me towards those goals. And
yes.
That's definitely the biggest skill I've taken away is how to act proactively.
Yes, that's huge. Because if we're just floating and just constantly reacting to things, it's, first of all, like it's super draining. That's so exhausting to constantly just be reacting and talk about feeling completely out of control because you are out of control if you're just reacting to other things constantly. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad finally somebody appreciates the action items.
I love
you
them,
and
man.
Sharon.
I'm like,
you and Sharon are
we're like
two,
every week,
right?
we're there.
Exactly. And look at y'all. Like,
yeah, we're doing it.
Maybe there's something to it.
It seems like there might be a correlation there.
Right.
That's funny.
Any other kinds of things around that?
Let's see. Those are my biggest mindset things, I would say.
What's your favorite part of the entire process?
Project management.
Mm-hmm.
I love making the decisions. I love, again, controlling where my time and energy is going. I love being able to control how I respond and what emotions I project. I like being able, I just love the whole process of project management. And ironically enough, in my previous job, I worked as an engineer, but they really wanted me to try project management. And I always knew that it was something that I think I would be really good at. But in that environment, the project managers weren't given the support to be successful in a lot of ways. And I didn't want to subject myself to that environment. And so I never went there. But I did work as a project engineer on several of our big jobs. And, you know, I learned the set of same skills. So yeah, the project management part of it is just, I really enjoy that.
Yeah, same. I didn't prep you with this question. It just came to mind.
Yes. Hit me.
If there was like, and I don't know if you have an answer to this, was there a certain way you thought you would feel after you flipped your first house?
Not necessarily. I think so. Every woman that I've noticed that comes into this project, everyone has gone through some length of journey in their time, you know, in their life. And they all get to a point where they're like, that's it. Enough. I need to do this for me. Every single one. That's
Every
like the
single one.
common denominator. Everybody comes in here and they're like, it is my time now.
Yep.
I had that experience in 2019 before I left my job, and then I went through severe job burnout. Like I was so over it. So
Okay.
and I mean, I just like I closed off the outside world. Like I was just trying to get by. I was doing the work. It was yeah, it was rough. But I went through that time of like, I know how crappy that feels.
Yeah.
And so I'm just not gonna go back to that.
Yes.
So it wasn't that I was looking for like this big revelation after my first flip. Like I was just kind of looking for control of like my time and energy and making sure that it felt good. And it felt great.
Yes. Oh my God. Let's just do things that feel good. How about that? Right? Like,
It doesn't have to be so hard.
It doesn't have to be so hard. It doesn't have to be so hard. When you're making a choice, do the thing, choose the option that feels less terrible.
Yeah. I mean, really, pretty straightforward.
It's so true though. Like if we could just shift that one thing, that maybe this time we don't have to get to a low in order to realize this isn't working. Right?
Unfortunately, it seems like that's what we all need. We all have to go through something like horrible or completely overwhelming.
Yep.
And if that's what it takes, I mean, I guess that's what it takes. You know, in 2019, when I kind of got overwhelmed, I was given multiple projects. I was traveling to both coasts. My kids were really young. I was like, I can't, this is too much. But I think back and I'm like, if I hadn't been overwhelmed, I wouldn't have made a change. I would have just kept going along.
Right. Right.
So,
yeah,
you know, I'm grateful for all of it, but yeah, it seems like every woman that comes in here is like, okay, I'm done with all this. It's my time now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's so true. They're all at some sort of transition place. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, you know that we are so appreciative of you. You're awesome. Thanks for being you. Like you from day one have just been such a big giver and supporter and just totally embody everything we want it to be like and feel like in the group. So really like, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's the best way. You know, you could probably make a living just off all the people that tell you thank you in a day. Like, but it's a lot to run and keep going, and you have Sis and you have Blair, but like if other people don't help, like that's how it keeps going. So like you have to contribute.
Yes. Thank you. And like there's so much, the value in the group is people sharing their stories.
Right.
That is why that group in that space is so valuable, because it normalizes all the fears. It normalizes feeling like we don't have enough time in the day, but we have to make the time. It normalizes, oh my God, I got this kid and driving for dollars. Put her in the back seat.
Right.
That's what you're going to do. Is you're going to put her in the back seat and you're going to drive around.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Like it normalizes all of that. And it makes it not just seem possible, but be possible because you see these everyday women doing it.
You feel less lonely, and like, especially the down times when like you can go like, hey, I'm struggling here. And people will just like flock to you and be like, oh my gosh, you can do this, you know? And like, it's just really, really special place for sure.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for contributing in such a big way that you just consistently do. We appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll see you in the group.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. I love it. Thanks, Amanda. Again, thank you for sharing your story with us. I know it's going to inspire somebody to get off the sideline and go do this thing already. Nobody has ever regretted getting started sooner, right? I mean, come on. What we usually hear is, gosh, I wish I had started sooner. What is it going to take for you to go chase this dream you have? Go do it. Anyone who's sitting on the sideline, choose one action step that you can take and you will commit to taking to get yourself one step closer to your goal. Commit to it and go do it. And then keep doing that every single day. One little action step. All right. All right. And If you want incredible support, you want the step-by-steps, you want the systems and the processes and all the things, plus an incredible community of like-minded, like-hearted, everyday women who are doing this thing exactly the way they want to be doing it, book a call with us and let's see if we're a fit to work together. All right? Go to herfirstflip.com and book your call. All right. Until next time, go out there, leave people and places better than you find them, and keep chasing your curiosities. Bye, y'all.